digitization or digitalization is a process of converting information into a digital format in which the information is organized into bits. The result is a representation of an object or an image, even a sound or a document or a signal, by generating a series of numbers in normally binary numbers. It is a result of technological progress. But for business, digitization means turning interaction, communication, business function, and business models into digital ones, which often boils down to a mix of digital and physical, as a mix of autonomous, semi-autonomous, and manual operations. Here is the problematics, because before it was only physical, and now everyone has to adapt to new tools and digitalization, which gives some capital gain. Here is also why adaptability is a quality each company are looking for. I will give you first one example with AI. We know that there has been an intense debate on the artificial intelligence over the last year, but 3/4 of executives believe AI will enable their companies to move into new businesses. Almost 85% believe AI will allow their companies to obtain or sustain a competitive advantage. However, AI has already changed the business world to such an extent that companies use it to automatize work and certain activities. Among them, there is performing data analysis, creating algorithms, or even improvising.
A good example of digitalization is Nike. Before saying anything about it, I will briefly present the history of Nike to better understand why they position themselves this way. Nike was created in 1972 and the swoosh was created 1 year before. The brand was positioned on the running market, and in 10 years they became the #1 sports shoe seller in the USA. In 20 years, Nike was the official supplier of a majority of sports events. During this period, Nike was growing. The daily sport activity became a habit, so the competition was tough and really intense. Lots of suppliers we know today has appeared during this period, and the main competitor of Nike was, of course, Adidas. And also more and more fake Nike products appeared during this period. They diversify a lot by covering almost every sports event: yoga, board sports, football, basketball, every genders too, men and women, and every age. Nike only, for example, for seniors, only for seniors. Nike has created a real brand spirit with their Just Do It, created in the 80s, and they keep on this line with them new ads, as we're going to see. Nike values are liberty, transcendence, spontaneity, and anti-conformism. So at the beginning of the 21st century, a new tendency in the customer's habit appeared. They were more and more volatile due to the new digital technologies. The buying process became simpler with internet. Customers has ease to compare different products. Few figures from the French market. Already in 2013, 85% of French had a mobile and 40% a smartphone. 50% of the regular customers were cross-canal, and only 32% of the French were visiting a shop without visiting the website of the shop they were visiting. Also, more and more of the Nike customers were from Generation Y. We count today in France 13 million of Generation Y. So Nike had to adapt. How did they do? In July 2006, Nike created the Nike Plus running platform. As we can see, Nike and Apple made a deal to create a new app. This app allowed the user, pro or amateur, to measure his performance, share them with friends or strangers, and to manage his trainings. From this app, Nike created a complex ecosystem and a complete ecosystem with connected shoes, full band, watches, sensors. All the data you collected were shared on your social media. Each year since 2012, Nike new growth of 10% on its income. But the most impressive still the income on the running segment. In 2011, Nike showed a 30% growth on its income. Proof that digitalization in a company works pretty well. To conclude, aside the digital ecosystem that Nike created with the connected object, the Nike Plus app and the online store, Nike counts also a lot of the release it got on the social media like Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. People buying Nike shoes and posting them on their social network are the best ambassadors of Nike. Also, during the last 20 years, Nike puts a lot of money in its advertisement. Now, Nike's ads do not get empowered by a sports superstar, but by the message they want to give. Just do it. So this is how Nike became a really digital company.
Kodak is often cited as an iconic example of a company that failed to grasp the significance of a technological transition that threatened its business. After decades of being an undisputed world leader in film photography, Kodak built the first digital camera back in 1975, but then the story goes and the company couldn't see the fundamental shift that's happening right under its nose. But with the arrival of digital, barrier at entry went down and a lot of companies pop up because the market was more accessible, and Kodak was only focused at this time on analog and manufacturing. It refused to invest money on digital and scale as did the Sony Corp Group, for example. Kodak understood his mistake, but too late, and in 2013, Kodak sold his patents for like 500 million to emerge from bankruptcy and is now focused on imaging. Some argues that in the Kodak case, 4 interrelated capabilities are necessary to enable effective enterprise-wide decision-making, none which were particularly well represented during pivotal decisions at Kodak. The first one is they need to have an enterprise mindset that is open to change. That was not the case with Kodak, because in the arrival of digital, Kodak didn't invest sufficiently to continue to be the leader in the photography and camera. So unless those at the top are sufficiently open and willing to consider all options, the decision-making process soon gets disturbed. Unlike its founders, George Eastman, who twice adopted disruptive photographic technologies, Kodak management in the 80s and 90s were unwilling to consider digital as replacement for film. This limited them to a fundamentally flawed path. The second point is thinking and acting holistically. Separating out and then optimizing different functions usually reduces the effectiveness of the whole. In Kodak's case, management did a reasonable job of understanding how the parts of the enterprise interacted within the framework of the existing technology. There was, however, little appreciation for the effort being conducted in the Kodak research labs with digital technology. The third point is being able to adapt the business design to changing conditions. So, the right design depends on the predictability of the market. And Kodak's unwillingness to change his large and highly efficient ability to make and sell film in the face of developing digital technologies lost it the chance to adapt and anticipate and lead design that would have secured the leading position in the digital image processing. And the fourth point is making decisions interactively using a variety of methods. This refers to the ability to incorporate a range of sophisticated decisions support tools when tackling complex business problems. Kodak had a very effective decision support process in place but failed to use the information effectively.
According to the 2017 forecast report, 74% of companies have a digital strategy, but only 15% have the skills and the tools to succeed in their digitalization. Companies do not seem to be equipped to deal with digitalization, while good digitalization allows for greater efficiency. Indeed, it reduces communication and logistic cost. Communication is also easier and therefore broader. Sales and marketing operation are faster and less complicated to implement. Via statistical data, it's also make it possible to measure the effectiveness of an operation. Finally, the relationship with customer is transformed because companies have data of them and can thus meet their needs by knowing their preference and their habits.